cannot incite violence and later push it on to the students.
It is a cause for justice. It is a cause for fairness. Chaboy! Chaboy!
Tonight we'll hear from the presidency as they welcome a petition from the students. And Topstory is always brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success and passion also brought to you by Gasem Cement, the nation builder. Vodafone, the future is exciting. Ready. Chaos reigned today as police targeted demonstrating law students with water cannons, rubber bullets and tasers. 9 students were arrested. 1 cameraman suffered taser wounds and is receiving treatment at the hospital. The students were protesting against what they describe as attempts to make legal education a preserve of a select few. At the protest march today, the aggrieved students called on the Chief Justice to lead reforms in the sector, describing the prevailing conditions as obsolete. Now, thousands of students have failed each year in a controversial entrance examination into the Ghana School of Law. My colleague Komla Dom was with the protesters and joins me in the studio. Komla, at what point did this turn chaotic?
The point where the protesters got to the Afrikiko restaurant area, just 100 meters from the Jubilee House, where they were supposed to have presented a petition to the presidency. That was the point it got chaotic because the police would not allow the students to go beyond that point, which is the Afrikiko restaurant. And so they put the crowd control vehicles in the middle of the road, and a number of police officials, about 25 of them, formed a barrier or a blockade, insisting that no student was supposed to go past the line.
Was that part of the regional plan, though?
Yes, it was part of a plan for them to go to the Jubilee House and present a petition to the presidency. That's been what we had been told since last week, and even this morning was reiterated by leadership of the group.
Okay, so when they got to that barricade, then what happened?
So the police said that they didn't have information or permission to go to the Jubilee House at that point, and so they would not allow them to go past where the stationed crowd control vehicles were. But the protesters insisted that originally, all along, the plan has been for them to go through the principal streets of Accra, Rage, the Art Center, etc., and then end at the Jubilee House where they were supposed to have presented a petition. And this didn't go down well with the police, and so there was a back and forth, leadership of the group with the police, almost exchanging words. The students insisting that it's their rights to move and go and present that petition. The police said, no, you're not going to be allowed. And so at that point, it got chaotic.
And what exactly happened? Because we've seen videos of water cannons. What did you see?
So at that point, police began, pushing the crowd further back because it caused a lot of vehicular congestion on the road. The police say the people didn't have the right to stop vehicular movement, and so insisted that they moved away from the road area so the vehicles could move. And when the students were sort of dragging their feet and not budging, then they began expending the water, using the tasers, beating a few of the students I saw in the process. Yeah.
Rubber bullets, I understand, have been fired as well. We have a situation report from the police themselves, who bring you their own account of what happened. You were caught up in this as well because you were covering the water must have felt like real pain.
It was a dreadful few minutes for me because then the police didn't want to look or listen to anybody at that point. They were just dispensing the water. So any individual they found in a red attire or close to those wearing red, they dispensed the water. Vehicles that were coming were also affected because they were just spraying and splashing the water in all directions. And so at that point, the students were retreating. We were running for cover because then, yes, we didn't feel safe.
Somebody to come and take our petition. We have started this demonstration from Mokola campus. The media, you've been with us. We've not even littered the street of Accra. This demonstration has been one of the most peaceful demonstrations ever in the history of this country. And the police cannot incite violence and later push it on to the students. We are here peacefully. We are asking the police that they should be professional enough they should cooperate with us. We just want to hand a simple petition to the authority at the Flagstaff House. That is all we are calling for, and we wish that the police will listen to this and be professional in the discharge of their duty.
It is a cause for justice. It is a cause for fairness. It is a cause for equality. It is a noble cause that every sane human being has to support.
That's on the way.
Choboy!
Hey!
Choboy!
Hey! The point we are making here today is that it is a professional program.
Yes. That's right.
Allow us
That's right.
to take it at our own pace.
Yes,
if I fail 3, let me write 3 papers.
That's right.
If I fail 4, let me write 4 papers.
That's all.
There's no justification under the sun for why somebody should get 3 A's and 3 C's and have to write all those 6 papers again.
It doesn't make sense.
Choboy, hey, as I have said, it does not end today. We, the students of the Ghana School of Law, pledge complete solidarity to this cause.
That's right.
93% of you did not fail that exam. They just called 80% of all those who took the exam in Nigeria. You are not more stupid than those who wrote in Nigeria. The California bar exam passes more than 50%. You deserve your professional legal training. Because as far as I know, you have been trained in the law. You all know the law. That exam is an unjust system. It is elimination by rough tactics. Enough is enough. We want our refunds now. We don't want them in election year. We want our refunds when? We want our refunds when? We want our refunds when?
There were some casualties. I mean, people got injured in the process.
Yes, Evan. So at least two of the protesting students got injured, and then one cameraman with yen.com, he was hit by the taser, and he had a cut on his right arm. And, you know, from the account of the reporter, he says while they were sort of filming the confrontation between the police and the leadership of the students, some of the policemen wielding the taser just barged into them and without listening to anything, just expended a lot of force on them, and so it went off and then it hit the right arm of the cameraman and he was injured.
He's my cameraman. What station? Yen.com. So why are you allowing him to go? They say they are taking him to the police hospital to examine whether indeed he has been wounded or not.
Would you want to go with him?
No, I'm not going with him. I don't know where they are taking him to.
So how do you record what's happening now? How did it happen?
I was standing with a student before I realized one policeman holding a small gun. It's not an AK-47. The police are saying it is called a shocker or whatever it is. I don't care. But he just started firing. Po, 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 po. I tried recording with my phone. He threatened to damage my phone, so I put my phone away. My cameraman was just beside him, and he shot him. The thing hit his hand. And the police around are insisting that it is not a gun. It is not a gun. He has not been shot. They've taken him away in the police car. They claim they are taking him to the police hospital to examine him whether or not he's been shot.
We're expecting the statement from the police shortly, but we have the situational report that will bring some clarity, at least from the police's own point of view to this. Kamala, they attempted, or they indeed submitted, before the incident around the Jubilee House, they had attempted to also submit a petition to the Attorney General. They got some audience with the Deputy Attorney General, correct?
Yes, they got audience, but that was after minutes of chaos. Because when the protesters got to the Attorney General's office, nobody was ready to listen to them. And so they were marching out of the facility when they saw the Deputy AG's vehicle pull through. And they surrounded the vehicle, insisting that the Deputy AG must get out and address them, otherwise they were not leaving. And just before we knew it, hordes of police officials got onto the scene, because at the time the protesters got there, there were not many policemen. But after the hold up, before we knew it, from nowhere, about 5, 6, 7 policemen showed up and were trying to push the individuals back. They insisted they stood their grounds that until the Deputy Attorney General got down to address them, they were not leaving. And so he had to address them from his vehicle.
I've seen law students demonstrate. I was a law student myself. I was a student as a law student just after I finished my A-level. At that time, I was just about 19 years, went to the University of Ghana. So you can tell even the mood in which we always. But I'm saying that even at that time, when we were studying LLB, undergraduate LLB, and then we continued on to the law school to pursue the professional law course. Never did we experience any students demonstrating. So indeed, this clearly demonstrates the seriousness of the issue. We are fully appreciative of the immensity of the matter, and the steps will be taken to address it.
So that is the Deputy AG. Does something also happen very close to the Jubilee House? The Deputy Chief of Staff somehow came out in an attempt to hear the students.
Yes. So, Evans, just when the confrontation between the students and the police was ongoing, another vehicle pulled up on the shoulders of the road. The windows went down, and here was Abu Jinapo, who was stunned from his expression in the vehicle. He at that material moment, 5 or 6 police officials were beating one of the students on the shoulder of the road, and he was signaling to them to stop what they were doing, and was asking why they were treating the student that way. And the police leadership of the police at the point just made their way towards the vehicle and tried to explain to the Deputy Chief of Staff that they didn't have permission to go through. But he says, no, let them come. We are ready to receive the petition. Let them come to me at the Flagstaff at the Jubilee House. We are ready to get their petition.
Stop what they are doing. Let them come. We'll take the petition to finish. Why? Yeah, let them come now. I'm waiting for them. They should come. All of them. Any one of them who wants to come should be made to come. They should come to the ceremonial gate, the front of the presidency. We'll take the petition. Those who are... It's okay. I hear your point, but I'm pleading with you. All those who are available and are ready and willing to present a petition, the presidency is ready to take their petition.
Okay, so that's the Abu Jinapo, the Deputy Chief of Staff. There were several arrests that you also witnessed, yes. And the complaints have come and videos that we've seen about the manner in which the arrests were made. Yes,
so we know at least 9 of the students were arrested. So this is how it all happened. So while the exchanges were ongoing between a section of the leadership of the protesters and a section of the police, some of the other police officials went through the crowd of individuals and picked up some of the leaders. They picked up Jonathan Alua, for example, then bundled him into one of the police armored vehicles that was on standby. One of the other students also got his footwear got removed along the line, but he was being dragged. They insisted he should forget about it and come into the vehicle, and they pushed him and bundled all of them into the vehicle, and then off the vehicle sped.
I see. Thank you, Kamala. Let me go onto the phone lines now. Joining me right now is Deputy Chief of Staff, Abu Jinapo. Mr. Jinapo, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Hello?
Can you hear me, Mr. Jinapo?
I can hear you.
Thank you very much for your time on Top Story. Also with me is Prince Tenaku, is one of the conveners of this particular protest today. Prince, thank you for your time as well.
Thank you for having me.
First, quickly update us. What has happened to your colleagues who were arrested?
Yes, they have been released on bail by lawyers such as Kofi Bento and Na Oyelisa, and also Martin Pebu, who got involved, who intervened. And so they have currently been released on bail. One of them has joined us at our base in Osu, and so we are currently having a meeting.
Okay, so they've been bailed now. Were they charged with anything? Do you know?
No, not that I am aware of.
Okay, Mr. Jinapo, we just heard the sound. You sort of have chanced on what was happening, and you attempted to intervene. It doesn't appear that the police listened to you much.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and a very good evening to your cherished listeners. And let me just make 2 or 3 points very quickly. First is to say that the right to demonstrate is a constitutional right. And the government of President Akufo-Addo has respected it since he's been in office. I mean, I've had the occasion, for instance, to receive a petition from the General Secretary of the Opposition NDC at the President's Jubilee House. We've never had any difficulty receiving petitions from Ghanaians who wish to demonstrate or express themselves in whatever form or shape. I've had several occasions to receive petitions. That's number one. And as far back as 1993, President Akufo-Addo has a constitutional right and as a human rights and constitutional lawyer, argued a case in the Supreme Court, the case of MPP versus IGP, where that constitutional right to demonstrate was clearly and expressly affirmed by the Supreme Court of our country. That case was argued by President Akufo-Addo, then a practicing lawyer in our country. And it is why, under his administration, there is that commitment to respect the tenets of our Constitution. And therefore, today, the Honorable Chief of Staff had instructed me to be ready and be on standby to receive the petition from these demonstrators. So I was on my way to Jubilee House if I was rushing to Jubilee House, to be there in time to receive the petition from the demonstrator when I bumped into the confusion between the police and the demonstrator, which is the reason why I was very emphatic and insistent that they should allow them to come and present their petition to the president. Now, having said that, to be fair to the police, I don't know what exactly transpired. I just got myself involved in it, and the reason why I was very categorical was because the chief of staff had expressly instructed way before, I think about an hour or two before, that these demonstrators were heading to Jubilee House. Get yourself ready. When they come, receive the petition as we do all the time. Assure them that the president will look at it and revert to them. And this was exactly what I was going to do. Now, subsequently, I've heard the police have given some sort of briefing about routes, that they had not agreed that they will come to Jubilee House or they will come to the Attorney General's office and that the roads were blocked. I'm not about to get involved in that. Only for me to emphasize and state with all the emphasis I can marshal that the government of President Akufo-Addo believes that in a democratic dispensation such as ours, something that he himself fought for, citizens have the right to demonstrate, and citizens have the right within the confines of our laws and within the confines of law and order to demonstrate, present petitions, and that is why the presidency was fully prepared to receive the petitions of these demonstrators today.
And just to clarify quickly, Mr. Ganaku is on the line. He was one of the conveners. You had a petition to submit to the presidency, correct? From what I understand.
Indeed, we did. We definitely did.
And did you eventually get opportunity to do that?
No. So I have been listening to the conversation, and if I can just provide a bit of context to what happened today.
Please do.
First, I'd like to thank Mr. Jinapor for his efforts. I can attest to the fact that he did do his best to get us through. However, 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago even, we sent a letter to the police, Accra Regional Command, informing them of our intention to go on a demonstration. The Public Order Act says that we are supposed to give the police 5 clear days, and Mr. Jinapor just cited the case of MPP versus IGP, where it was stated that we do not need the police's permission. We basically have to inform them so that they can make the necessary preparations to, accommodate whatever the demonstrations are and provide protection. And so that's what we did. We were invited into a meeting by the Accra Regional Commander, I think his name is DSP Enim, where he attempted to sway us and tell us not to have the demonstration on the day that we had initially intended to have it. In our letter to the police, we outlined our routes, the routes that we were going to use and all of that. And after the meeting, we declined to make any comments there and then. The next day, we sent a letter to the police again. The next day after they invited us for the meeting, we sent another letter to the police informing them that we had already gotten certain faculties and universities to cancel lectures for the day. There were students who were coming in from KNUST, UCC, and for whom this provision had been made. Also, logistical preparations were too far advanced for us to call it off. Indeed, in our letter, we also let them know that the Public Order Act requires that we give them 5 clear days, and we did what we had to do by giving them 10 clear days. And so we didn't believe that they had given us, enough reason for us not to proceed.
And was the Jubilee House part of the places you had told the police you'd be going?
We have a copy of the letter, and we have a number of interviews booked. I think one with your station as well, so we can even bring that tomorrow. I have no problem with that. Yes, the routes were.
I have seen the letter, and indeed included that.
Yes, the routes were definitely included. The routes were definitely included.
Okay.
And so so when they came in today, I heard the previous person making his submissions was saying that the police tried to get us off to the side of the road and we weren't complying. That is an absolute inaccuracy. The police didn't try to get us to the side of the road. In fact, the police came to the Ghana School of Law earlier this morning and threatened Mr. Jonathan Alua and said that they would pick him up if we continue with the demonstration because they hadn't given us permission. Mr. Alua let them know that we didn't need their permission and that we were going to go on and that all we needed to do was give them notice of 5 days, and we had done so by giving them 10 days. And so we were going to go on. And so when they came to the Afrikiko area to try and stop us, you could see that their it appeared to me as though their egos had been bruised by the fact that we had declined their instruction to call off the demonstration. And they kept, and I say this knowing exactly what I mean, they kept trying to provoke members of the demonstration to anger so that they would react. They went so far as to threaten one of our colleagues that they were going to shoot him, and they dared somebody, because in the back and forth, we had a meeting with them, and in the back and forth, the point kept being made that we didn't need their permission. And then they kept Mr. DSP Enim and his companion or partner kept daring us that if you like, go and we'll see. If you like, go and we'll see. So I have to come in and try and get, the people to calm down. And I explain to them that, listen, the way this man is going, he's clearly trying to provoke you to anger. And if he succeeds, we are going to paint a bad narrative for ourselves over here. Let us keep control of the narrative. Let us continue to be the innocent ones in this. And so I can tell you for a fact that the police did not tell us to go to the side of the road and proceed in a manner that was convenient to motorists and
as it stands now, fundamentally, you want the issues that you have with legal education addressed. We have still the Deputy Chief of Staff who says they are ready to hear you.
Of course,
is this something that you, going forward, you're prepared to return and hand in formally?
Yes, we are. The only reason we weren't able to do that today was because we demanded that our compatriots who had been unlawfully arrested without reason. They were not given a reason for their arrest as is required by the law, and they were clearly within their rights. They were arrested for no reason whatsoever. We demanded that they be released, and until they were released, we weren't going to proceed any further with the demonstration. We didn't want to engage. We didn't want to continue because we felt like it would be betraying, those who had come to fight with us on this protest. And so, yes, that's the only reason why we weren't willing to proceed any further.
But explain this to me.
Bail,
okay, but
yes.
Now that really you're gonna be going back to the Flagstaff House to present a petition. Is that what you're gonna say?
Oh, yes, we will.
But explain this to me.
As long as we are, I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
Sorry, go on. As long as you what?
As long as they are ready to receive us and they are going to give us an invitation to come, we have no problem at all. We are fighting this fight for the students. And so if an opportunity exists for us to complete it, why not?
Mr. Jadapo, how soon can they come with their petition formally to you?
Well, Ivan, before I even answer that question, I've sat in meetings where the president is giving audience to law students and listening to their grievances and taking them up at his level. I've had the privilege of sitting in meetings with the president where law students, the president, I think, also of the Ghana law students representative, paid a courtesy call on the president with his executives. The president spent almost an hour with them to listen to their grievances. He took it up. We always have to remember that legal education is governed by law, by the General Legal Council. It's not governed by the executive. It's not governed by the president. And the president's authority in these matters is quite limited. Now, we are very happy to listen to them whenever they are ready, as the president has done in the past. He himself is a lawyer, and he's very concerned and interested in the development of legal education in our country, in whichever way. Now, let me also say that in so doing, I will respectfully advise my friends to do so within the confines of the law, be law-abiding, and respect law and order, and make sure that grievances of theirs which may or may not be legitimate are advocated or channeled devoid of political correlations, and that, I think, is key. To the moment they allow their fronts to be infiltrated by political actors and who will use their grievances for their own parochial, selfish political gains, I think that they will cloud their issues. And what I would say is that the presidency is very ready and willing to receive petitions.
On that point, Mr. Jinapo, the students quote the law about the General Legal Council, of which the Attorney General is a very important member of. And they make the point that the Attorney General, as the president's own representative, can initiate the process at that level. Even that, they say, hasn't happened.
Well, but that is only when the their claims or their proposals are interrogated and accepted. I'm not about to get into those ones. We leave that to the General Legal Council. The Attorney General has a seat at the General Legal Council, and I'm not even in a position.
I guess it begs the question: since the president met them, as you have just referenced, what has happened on these concerns that the students make to him?
He's brought those concerns to the attention of the General Legal Council. But I'm saying, Ivan, let's be very careful here. Let's always make the point that the fact that a group of people have grievances or have concerns doesn't make it sacrosanct. It doesn't make it right in itself. And it doesn't make it wrong. And I'm not being judgmental here. I'm saying that there is a body mandated by law to deal with legal education in our country. And that body is the General Legal Council. If they bring their grievances or concerns or petition to the presidency will act upon it to the extent that we are permitted to by law.
Okay.
And that we are ever ready to receive to receive the petitions of all citizens of our country. We receive petitions from citizens of our country on a daily basis in their hundreds and thousands. And I can demonstrate that to you.
Okay. So Mr. Galaku, very quickly, you also today sent a separate petition to the former president, John Mahama. And the purpose of that was to?
The purpose of that? No, in the initial petition, CC'd, copied the Peace Council, the Christian Council. We copied basically everybody. So the petition, sending the petition to ex-President Mahama at that time was only fortuitous because of what had happened. But he was always on our route. And I'd also like to remind Honorable Jinapor that we have indeed done what we have to do with the president. We have already gone to see him. He has, if I may use the word, failed to communicate back to us whatever has been done. And so this is very, very much a political matter because it is a policy decision that has been made. As you rightly noted, the Attorney General has the right to direct the General Legal Council on matters of policy. And on matters of policy, it is the president that comes first. And so if the president is not acting, we are well within our rights to petition anybody that we want to petition. And indeed, if that includes other political parties whose interests are run, contrary to the president's ruling party's interests, then so be it. Because really, we have done everything that we have to do. Mr. Jinapo cannot point to one single unlawful thing that we have done. And it is true that we are making a petition doesn't mean that the petition is sacrosanct. But the petition was not received. The police indeed said that an order had come from above. We don't know where above is. And so which is why I took the time out to thank Mr. Jinapo, because we know now that the above was not anything or from anyone of whom he is aware, and he did everything to let us through. But the fact is that the police is a part of the executive, and the police are citing an order coming from above them to make sure that they don't submit the petition. And we haven't done anything on law.
And very finally, Mr. if we can address a concern about how quickly will this concerns of the students will be addressed by the president?
The point I made earlier is a very simple point, and I presume the gentleman's name is Prince, correct?
Yes, Prince.
Prince, the point I'm making to you is very simple. I'm saying to you that your message is as good as how you present it, which is that you have grievances as students, present the grievances to the appropriate quarters in a decent, lawful manner, devoid of political correlation. In my very humble personal view, that is the best way of making the biggest impact in terms of your grievances head.
Because of time,
Mr.
Jinapo, I get you. Because of time, they want their grievances addressed. Can you give them, what assurance can you give that this will be taken up seriously, and the AG, in terms of policy, at least will be asked to look into their grievance with expedition?
Whenever they are ready to present their petition, we will be ready to receive it. We'll interrogate it and we'll take it from there.
I'm grateful that you joined us. That is John Jinapo, the Deputy Post Abela. You had one of the conveners there. Very quickly, the police have their own account of what happened. Gifty, what is the police account of what happened?
Yeah, Evans, just quickly before I go through what the police says, the route protest was supposed to be the Ghana Law School, Makola, and then the Evans Atta Mills High Street, the Law Court Complex area, Independence Avenue, National Theatre, Liberation Crescent, and then Jubilee House, because it refers to the route. The police report.
And the police. This is a situational report of the police.
It is a situational report from the police. It says on the 7th of October 2019 at about 8:30 a.m., a group of people numbering about 300, led by one Regina Amega and Bernard Mona, who claimed were part of the people who undertook the entrance exams to the Ghana Law School, Makola, and failed, besieged the entrance to the law school, sat down in the middle of the road, preventing free flow of traffic. It goes on to say that they continued to the Attorney General's office, preventing the Deputy Minister, Godfrey Dame, from exiting the premises. They were dispersed. They went to the new High Court building and picketed there for some time before they went to GIJ, where they were addressed by some members of the Ghana Bar Association and Bernard Mona. The statement says again that it's not a statement. The situational report says that they presented a copy of their petition to the Bar Association and then headed towards the Jubilee House. And upon reaching Sankara Overpass, they sat in the middle of the road. They were advised by the police to disperse, but they refused. And for about 2 hours, no vehicle could use the road. 13 suspects were arrested to the regional headquarters for investigations. Water cannon with cold water was sprayed to disperse them. 3 rubber bullets were fired into the air to disperse them. Statements on caution have been taken from them, ready to be released, and it does not mention any charges at all.
And we know that they've been released now. One person is in hospital tonight. We'll hear from former President John Mahama, who has been speaking about this on Newsnight, which starts right now.